So let's journey to this place, the city of the sleeping well. It's twilight. A crowd is gathering. They're all there to hear about a dream. Maybe one of the most ambitious dreams humanity has ever had. The dream of becoming more than human. But then, out of the shadows, a completely different voice pipes up. A chilling whisper that's about to tear that whole dream down. Okay, so picture this scene. The sun is setting, the people are all gathered around. And right there in the middle of them is this one guy, a real dreamer. He's looking up at the sky and he's calling out for something more, right? He's imagining a future where we humans, finally surpass our own limits. And there it is. That's the big call, the call for the Overman. It's this huge vision of transcendence, of power, of finding some ultimate meaning. This is basically the peak of human striving, right? The idea that we, as we are now, aren't the final destination. We're just a bridge to whatever comes next. But as you can probably guess, not everyone in the crowd is buying it. Because right then, another figure steps out from the shadows. And this guy is no dreamer. He's a soothsayer. And his entire perspective is about to just shatter everything this ideal stands for. His voice is cold, and it just slices right through the hopeful silence of the crowd. Wow, right off the bat, the soothsayer just completely dismantles the dreamer's heroic metaphor. The dreamer sees this rope as a bridge, right? A path to a higher shore. But the soothsayer says, no, no, no. What if it's just a circle, a pointless trap you can't escape? And that abyss? He says it's not some challenge you can leap over. It's a predator, a mouth that's already wide open, just waiting to swallow you whole. Now, you might think the soothsayer is just being a downer, right? Just being pessimistic for the sake of it. But he's not. He actually has a diagnosis for this fever for ambition. He doesn't see it as strength at all. He sees it as a symptom of a really deep collective exhaustion, an exhaustion he calls the long tiredness. And this idea, this is the absolute core of his argument. The long tiredness is like a total spiritual burnout. It's the point where even asking the question, why bother, has lost its punch. All that effort, all those goals, they've just withered away. The world isn't some garden waiting for you to shape it. It's just a tasteless broth. Nothing. And here's where the soothsayer really twists the knife. He points out this huge irony. The very act of overcoming, of striving, has completely backfired. In this desperate push to become something more, he says, we've sacrificed the very things that make life worth living in the first place. We've literally traded our joy for endless labor and our peace for the ghost of ambition. Okay, so the soothsayer isn't done yet. Not by a long shot. After giving his diagnosis, he starts to systematically deconstruct this whole Overman ideal, piece by piece. He's about to show how every single one of its shiny promises is actually a crushing heavy weight. So let's break this down. The core of their disagreement is really about the very idea of progress. For the dreamer, the goal is a bridge, something that takes you to a new and better shore. But for the soothsayer, it's a rope in a circle. It's a hamster wheel. It's just endless, pointless motion that leads absolutely nowhere except, you guessed it, exhaustion. And the symbols they use, they tell you everything you need to know. The dreamer sees the Overman as this brilliant flash of lightning from a dark cloud, a powerful, creative moment. But the soothsayer's comeback is just brutal. He's like, yeah, lightning flashes and then it's gone. What's left? The same indifferent gray sky that's always been there and will always be there, completely unchanged. Now this next one, this might be the most damning comparison of them all. The big ambition is to be a creator, right? To forge new values and shape the world. But the soothsayer argues that this process ultimately just exhausts your will to live. And what happens when your will is completely drained? Well, you don't create anymore. You just consume. You look for little hits of pleasure just to get through the day. You become a consumer of comfort instead of a creator of meaning. Ouch. And all of this leads to the soothsayer's truly devastating final point. Every single effort you make to surpass yourself, to climb higher and higher, it doesn't lead to you becoming a god. No, it's just a faster way to burn out. It's like pressing the accelerator on the very long tiredness you thought you were trying to escape. So if climbing up towards the Overman is just a trap, then what's the alternative? Well, the soothsayer offers a pretty radical one. He says the answer isn't to climb towards greatness, but to descend, to embrace something he calls the underman. It's a journey not of striving, but of refusal. What he's describing here is this really dark inversion of that classic idea of the three metamorphoses. Where the spirit is supposed to evolve from a dutiful camel to a defiant lion and finally to a creative child. Well, this journey goes backwards. The creative wonder of the child is stillborn. The rebellion of the lion just turns into dread, and the strong camel, it just collapses under the unbearable weight of its own emptiness. It's a path to total collapse.
And this leads us to the Soothsayer's ultimate instruction, his final piece of advice. It's a complete and total rejection of the rat race. The true path, he says, isn't found in striving. It's found in surrender. The Underman finds his peace not by winning the game, but by refusing to even play it in the first place.
So where does this leave us? How does this story end? Does the crowd get fired up and rally behind the dreamer's incredible call to greatness? Or do they listen to the Soothsayer's bleak prophecy of exhaustion? Well, the conclusion is pretty chilling. So here it is, the final choice laid out for everyone to see. On one hand, you can be the Overman, the one who climbs to the highest peak only to find that the air is too thin to breathe and the view is empty. Or you can be the Underman, the one who finds a strange kind of peace just by lying down in the dirt, by simply letting go of all that ambition. And, in the end, the Soothsayer wins. The lightning in the dreamer's eyes just fades. The crowd doesn't fight back. Instead, they feel what's described as the sweet weight of final surrender. It seems, in this city, the promise of rest was just so much more powerful than the promise of greatness. The long tiredness claimed them all. So this story leaves us with a really profound question, one that I think applies to all of our lives. It gives us two extremes, right? The endless, exhausting climb of the Overman and the complete surrender of the Underman. And it really forces us to ask ourselves, where is that line between healthy ambition and just self-destructive striving? At what point does our drive to succeed stop being a motivation and start being the heaviest stone we have to carry?